Let's take a look at your options for controlling how employee information is managed in Securities. The Security setup can be found in the Configure desktop under Security in the Configure Roles menu. Different levels of access can be created for each role. So once a role is selected, you can begin determining how each user assigned to that role will work with employee information. The Desktop Security tab is where these settings are managed. First, check the employee's desktop. This will automatically allow access to every section of the employee record, so be sure to expand this section for full visibility to each area. You may need to remove the checks for the areas you do not wish to allow access. In order to best determine what to allow, you will need to familiarize yourself with each of these sections of the employee record. To do so, go to the employee's desktop and search for an employee. Open the record and walk through each tab. At the simplest level, a role may only be allowed to see one of these 4 tabs. If no other tab is allowed, this is the only section of the employee record each user in that role would see. Here's a quick overview of the information behind each tab. In the Demographics tab, the required fields are the minimum pieces of information needed in order to save an employee in the system. In the Certifications tab, all pertinent trainings and events that need to be tracked by dates can be stored here. The Roster tab will be implemented if you wish to restrict employees from seeing clients other than the ones they work with. This links the employee to each of their assigned clients. And finally, the Pay Types tab is critical if timesheets are implemented. Pay types will be set up in order for staff to enter and report both billable and non-billable time by cost center and by service on their timesheet. So, as you can see, each of these 4 tabs will be represented in the Security section, and you can allow access to each tab accordingly for each of your various roles. Once you have opened up the appropriate areas for each role, you may then choose to make the data contained within each section read-only or denied. This is managed in the Data Security tab. It is only necessary to complete this step if you have allowed access to a particular section and want to control how the data is used. If you do not allow access to a section altogether under the Desktop Security tab, then the users do not even have the rights to get to the data in the first place, making this step unnecessary. The data group All Employees defaults to affect all employees within the database. You can expand this to see the various folders that contain the data fields of the employee record. For example, when expanding the employee folder, you will see each data field presented in the Demographics section in the employee record. If you have allowed access to the Demographics tab and would like to limit the users from editing the data, then apply the check marks in the Read Only column for every field that you want protected. If you mark Denied for a field, the data is replaced with an asterisk so that the information is blocked. For example, you may want to block the credentials of an employee from being seen, while the remaining fields can be viewed but not edited. Continue this path for all relative folders when necessary. You may need to create additional data groups if you want to isolate these read-only and denied settings to a particular group of employees. For example, if a user should be able to have full access, both viewing and editing rights, for the employees in their cost center, but should only have read-only rights for employees in other cost centers, then you would not want to apply the settings to the default All Employees group. Rather, you would create a new data grouping. This is done under Configure Data Groupings. Add a data grouping and give it a name. In this case, the group is being created to protect employee data. Add a parameter to define the group, whether it's a specific employee, job title, cost center, ethnicity, or salary type that you're trying to protect. Then select accordingly. Once you have saved the data grouping, you can then apply the read-only and denied settings for a particular role in the Data Security tab. This then protects each user in this role from being able to either view or edit any of the Asheville employee information. Should you have any questions, please submit your inquiry by going to Options, Support, and Contact Support.